Hey guys, it's McOuchies, and welcome back to Holiday Marathon 4. Hope you guys are enjoying it so far, as we'll be moving on to part 2 now. So for this video, we'll be turning back to soft modding again via free PSX boot and Unirom. Haven't done this since I did Kingsfield 1 earlier this year. So, in the late 90s, Nintendo had Star Fox, while PlayStation had their own go-to flight game with Ace Combat. And after the first two games in the Ace Combat series, Namco was ready to make Ace Combat 3 go down in history as one of the greatest flight games ever made. And in some ways, it did for its technical feats, storyline, branching paths and factions, and replay value. However, even with all this going for it, sadly, the game never caught on and saw a major success as its predecessors had. It was in the wake of the Y2K scare. Nonetheless, the international release of Ace Combat 3 ended up being pretty watered down with no real story, characters, and barely any plot. However, with the power of the retro community, and namely Project Nemo, hardcore AC fans have finally been blessed with this great game after several years. So the storyline of Ace Combat 3 is that in the year 2040, the governments of Strange Reel have been dissolved under the new orders of the multinational super conglomerates, with their respective regions, and at the helm of it we have the two corporations, General Resource and Newcom, seeking power through science, mass ingenuity, and their use of their militaries. And while peace has been mostly sustained so far through efforts of the United Protection Enforcement Organization, better known as UPEO or UPO, tensions have begun to rise between General Resource and Newcom following years of defection and rivalry. But little does GR and NC know that an even darker organization is rising up and seeks to take the power of the mega cyberspace system known as the Electrosphere for their own agenda. And it really is a shame that even with a game of this magnitude, even by today's standards, apparently the iron had gone cold. But man, was this a treat to finally play after many years. Especially as a big fan of Ace Combat 4, and growing up I did have the American version of this, but like I said, it's pretty bare bones compared to this one in terms of substance. Alright. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. In Japan, they map the buttons a little bit differently on the PlayStation controller. Anyway, we'll be controlling the, I guess you'd call him the experimental pilot, Nemo. That's all I'm going to say. Don't want to spoil too much. Let's do it mono for now. I'm actually using a JBL Clip 3 as my in-game speaker for output. Nah. Okay, so each of the two conglomerates ruling over their regions, respectively, they have their own media and their own conveyance of it, with the tension mounting between the two sides. Pretty good CG for 99. Pretty good FMVs too.
Power for life, Newcom.
Alright, so Alright, we get some more hints at exposition. Yeah, one has to wonder if Y2K gave people all these ideas of the future. With corporate takeovers and globalization. Yep, she's one of our allies. Or at least she starts out as an ally, depending on how your game plays out. Some hints at the game's plot. Meanwhile, in the Newcom region, yep, the Electrosphere, the mega body of cyberspace on steroids. Also, another cool feature of the game is you have a database of messages as well as info and intel on different subjects, people, organizations, and such. Well, she's very modest, but she's also pretty good in flight. Some more allies joining the fray. But yeah, as big as and ambitious as Ace Combat 3 was, it's also one of the darker ones in terms of philosophies and ambitions, and also the different playthroughs on who survives. Well, spoiler, sorry. Also, Fiona, her sister Cynthia, also makes her presence felt later, for better or for worse.
Communication interrupted. Receiving emergency broadcast. ただいま入りましたニュースをお伝えします。フェイスパーク地方においてかねてから緊張状態が続いていたゼネラルリソースとニューコムが交戦状態に突入した模様です。ニューコムからの公式発表によりますと、この攻撃はあくまでもゼネラルリソース。
Yeah, truth be told, I actually had to burn this game on disc in order to play it. Well, I don't know if now that I have a Windows system instead of a Mac, that's the only way to do it. But on a Mac, I tried emulation once, and it was harder than it needed to be. Anyway, nonetheless, soft modding or emulation, very good game. I recommend you play it if you get the chance. All right, on to the mission. Try to do at least a couple missions, depending on how long this lasts. Probably do a few. And this is also exactly how, pretty much exactly how the American release starts and the international release. Although I think you get more choices in aircraft right from the get-go, I believe. But, yeah, UPO, they basically act as the mediator between the two giants of General Resource and Newcom. And I believe that stays the same throughout most of the international release. And I believe it's Newcom, or Newark as they're known internationally. That's the main foil. I think. I haven't played all the way through the American version. Okay. Yeah, like in the US and Europe, we didn't even have in-mission dialogue like that. They were mostly just prompts. Okay, so unlike Ace Combat 4 and some of the others that I've grown accustomed to, your mission grade it's graded mainly in time taken, time elapsed. So, in that spirit, let's try to take out the main targets. All right, tally ho on the hostile aircraft. You're not getting away from me. Yeah, also, I noticed the physics, and like you just saw, caution stall. In Ace Combat, in some of the later Ace Combat games that I've played, that wouldn't become as much of a factor as it is here. So the physics get a little more forgiving later on. That doesn't say Ace Combat 3 is bad or anything, it just becomes a little bit of an inconvenience, more than you'd want it to. But then again, the difficulty isn't quite as white-knuckled either. Isn't exactly back to the wall for a good majority of the game. Like in Shattered Skies, for instance, it seems a little more hectic most of the time. Though still, there are plenty of interesting sorties to go about. Like for instance, there's a Newcom mission where you're in space, in Earth's orbit. And the final mission, you can definitely see where AC4 kind of borrowed from it in the megalith. Flying through tunnels. Where do you think you're going?
Mission accomplished.
Nice. Yeah, usually when you get a D grade, it says mission over. I gotta see.
達成された。今後も諸君の活躍には期待している。
We could have used some kind of cutscenes in the international release, but anyway, enough bitching about that.
ここで私たちユーピオの進化が問われるのは必死ね。そうそう、君前と違った動きしてたじゃない？いい感じだったよ。
Yeah.
あ、どうも。これはあなたに出す最初のメールになります。この戦いが続くのなら、きっとこれからはあなたと一緒に飛ぶことが増えるのかもしれない。今日のような飛び方なら、
Well, it's an honor.
見える敵をあなたが思うように叩けばいいと思う。
Right.
それではまた。
Nah.
ユーコムとユーピオ間の対話に対してゼネラルリソース側からの反発が混乱の火種となることを危惧する声も多いようですが。
はい。ユーピオのクラークソン代表のような指導者は
Delaware Clarkson. Yeah, very much old school. Not too different from today's government, past and present.
彼の行動は私にとっては期待錯誤としか言いようがない。
それではニューコムとゼネラルリソースの戦闘はこれからも避けられないと。
ただ私が言いたいのは、
あ、すいません、ここで CM です。
あ、いた。伝えておくことがあります。本日付でユーピオの治安維持活動についての指揮全権がパーク司令に一任されました。これからはユーピオ特別航空部隊サーフのメンバーとして、常にレナと共同で行動することになります。まあ、彼女のようなユーピオのスターと一緒なら中継も多くなるし、下手な失敗はできないってこと。
Right. Alright, first of all, I'm gonna... There we go, sorry. Sitting crisscrossed in a tight spot. Anyway. So, yeah, what I was saying about the archive and the records... Whoops. Alright, let's see here. How about... Yeah, data search. So yeah, that's also how you view cutscenes, briefings, as well as info on certain groups and operatives. And apparently there's a Neo United Nations. Anyway, on to the second mission.
本日未明、我が軍の偵察部隊によってワイヤゴロ山脈のユーコム軍よりゼネラルリソースのエアウェイに対し電波妨害
There's some stutter with the audio and the cutscenes.
基地周辺に配備されたジャミングレーダーを無力化せよ。
Currently at this point in the game, yeah, Newcom is currently the aggressor, but that definitely changes as the game goes on, as other pilots enter the fray and developments arise. And like I said, even another organization becoming a deadly factor. Alright. See if we can splash him with a machine gun. And thankfully, this is one of the entries of Ace Combat where even if you do hit the ground, it isn't an immediate crash. You'll take some damage, depending on how hard you hit. Oh. Is that a Sam? Yes, it was. Oy. Again? That usually doesn't happen. Go ahead, make your move, bandit. But yeah, it's weird. Yeah, in the US versions, they kept a lot of the missions, but they restructured them in terms of narrative and also in different orders, I believe. I love the soundtrack. This is definitely the 90s. Alright, head south. Okay. Oh. South, not east. Okay, pull up a bit. Well, they're right about the crater part. Ugh. Man, in Ace Combat 4, I can usually get away. So, scratch what I said about there being less danger. Heh. Couldn't get me. Good try, but it wasn't meant to be. Oh, cutscene. Ooh, got a B this time.
Electrosphere を発端にした今回の紛争は NUN 新国際連合所属のユーピオ特別航空部隊サーフを中心にした治安維持部隊の活躍によって沈静化に
Neo United Nations.
しかしゼネラルリソースとニューコムの対立自体は有事や人気への広がりを見せています。ユーピオのクラークソン代表が提唱したスナイダーズ会談の開催は両企業間での紛争を解決する糸口となるでしょう。次のニュースです。
The two General Resource fighter jets were deployed At UPO HQ, this is believed to be General Resources' response to a request from the United Nations to increase the UPO's military capabilities after the Faith Park dispute. This development has prompted criticism from some within UPO who say that the arms buildup goes against UPO's original purpose of peacekeeping. The future of UPO, currently in the process of bolstering its military strength, is now up in the air. Huh.
この世界に生きる者、歴史に名を刻む働きを残すことのできるパイロットは少ない。
See where this leads us.
パイロットとして活躍しうる肉体的なピークは若いうちだ。ただそのピークは人間としての精神的な熟練を迎えるのに比べてもあまりにも早すぎる。
And a little more flexing from General Resource.
誰もが肉体の限界を感じるだろう。
Oh, Abyssal Dizian. He also enters the fray.
超える精神力を持つ者はそれを口にする必要がないだけだ。
しかし彼は肉体的にも精神的にもピークを迎えたまま世に名を残そうとしている。彼の名はアビサル・リジョン。ゼネラル・リソースのエースの名を欲しいままに大空を舞う。
But man, it's hard not to love this game once you get the good version. Namco is slowing down.
そこで今後の展開に備え、ゼネラルリソースの部隊と共同の訓練飛行を行う運びとなった。実戦ではないからといって手を抜くな。
Seems like a little bit of favoritism on UPO's part, but at this point in the game, General Resources probably the less aggressive of the two. F-18, ooh, F-16 Falcon, nice. So what starts out as a training exercise, okay.
さて、ユーピオの若造、ゼネラルのエースについてこられるか。まあ、見せてくれ。
Break a little bit. Alright, so basically just do your best to follow Dizian, the General Resource ace. Yeah, this is another mission in the international release that was tweaked. And simplified with no real character. Very basic compared to this. Come on. Now where'd he go? Not much to it so far. But is there the action going to arise? You bet it is. Let's see how it goes. Alright, use the machine guns. Roger that, Keith. Alright, let's see here. Kind of reminds you of a similar situation in real life right now with drones. Agreed. Once in a while they do say bingo instead of bullseye. Don't really know what prompts it. Yeah, pretty rockin' tune. Alright, come on, one more. Alright, splash this last one. Oh. Alright, a little more to the left and I would have had it. There we go. I'll remember your skill. Okay. Yep. Well, so much for the conflict dying down. Yeah, this part was also in the US version. Obviously with less presentation and less narrative. Yeah, this is the one thing I hate about Ace Combat 3. It's flight physics. It's a little stingy with the stalling and how far you can climb. Some of the later games didn't do that nearly as much, like the aforementioned Ace Combat 4. Come on. Let me climb a bit. Okay, so I do have to machine gun them. Well, I guess for the better that I was just doing an exercise like that, obviously. Come on, I'm going. If only we had this much response right now. Whoa. Oh, get out of the way, Keith.
Mission accomplished.
Well, anyway, I think that'll about do it for part 2 of Holiday Marathon 4. This one is a blast. If you're disappointed with the international release, needless to say, track down a way to play this if you can. You will not regret it. But yeah, good game is the real version of Ace Combat 3 Electrosphere. So anyway, join me next time in part 3 as I take to a classic fighting game with its wacky humor, with its wacky fighting, and its cast of characters with Clay Fighter for the Super NES.